Hello and welcome to Your Coaching Journey, a podcast for doctors about coaching. Whether you're a coaching doctor, a doctor who is learning to coach, or a doctor who'd like to build coaching into your professional life, then this is the podcast for you.
Hi, I'm Helen Leathers, and with me today is my business partner and co-host, Tom Dillon. Good morning, Tom. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Thank you very much. How are you, Helen?
I'm very well too. Yeah, it's a bit rainy outside, but there's something quite nice about the rain. I quite like it. When you're inside
Just
and
today,
you can hear it.
Generally,
you can hear it on the roof and, on the window, and you're warm inside. I quite like it.
Hopefully our listeners can't hear it on the roof and on the windows.
No.
Good. So what are we exploring on today's episode, Helen?
Well, we're looking at a topic that might be brought to the coaching room, and that is confidence, because I think it comes up quite a lot.
So just to be clear, that would be how to be more confident.
Yes, I've not had anyone ever ask for help to reduce their confidence.
Although overconfidence is a thing.
It is a thing, yeah. Yeah.
I did a study when I was doing my psychology degree at my summer school. I did a little project on overconfidence and whether extroverts were more overconfident than introverts.
Oh.
And my research suggested they were.
So I would challenge, are they, or are they just perceived to be?
Well, I was asking them, and they we had a little test for them to do, and generally they did come out as being more, overconfident.
Interesting.
I had a lovely image when I did my presentation at the end of the week. I had a lovely image of a cow stuck on a 5-bar gate. Obviously tried to jump it. It's a lovely image. Yeah. So I overconfident, but I don't suppose anyone, do they recognise that they're overconfident? I guess not until they get stuck on a 5-bar gate.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, good. But let's assume in the coaching room, people aren't going to come and ask you to reduce their confidence for them.
Yes.
Okay. And I know that confidence is something that you specialise in with your clients.
Yes.
But I don't think you have to be out there saying you're a confidence coach for it to be a topic that's going to show up. I think it's just one of those things that people will generally come in with.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess it might show up in different ways. So imposter syndrome is perhaps an area where people might exhibit a lack of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we usually start our podcast with defining the topic that we're going to cover.
Yeah, we do.
And I think we've all got an idea of what confidence is, but where are we going to start?
Well, that's an interesting thought, because whilst we might think we know what confidence is, I think one of the explorations that I always have with clients who want to be more confident is about understanding confidence more and what it looks like for them, how they perceive confidence in others and their own version of confidence. So we kind of do know what confidence is, but everyone has different perceptions of it and how it might play out for them.
Yeah, and I think that's true of lots of different psychological phenomenon, isn't it? That we all have a variation on a theme. And, we'll have our own view of what it is.
So one of my clients was like, well, I'm not the sort of person that's going to stand up and speak in front of people at an event. Well, you don't have to be that person in order to be confident. The two things aren't.
But I guess that's just situational confidence, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think you could take anyone in the world and make it important enough to put them under pressure that they weren't confident in standing up and speaking to people.
Yes.
You could make the audience bigger, or you could make it their career depended on it, talk. At some point, people will feel a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
Because of the situation. Okay, so tell me more about how you might approach this topic with a coachee.
Okay, it's a big topic. So we're just going to be looking at an overview, as we always do on these podcasts. We can't cram everything in.
We should do a deep dive. Let's do a long form podcast. Let's spend the next 3 hours talking about it.
Oh my goodness, Pete might not like us for that.
Right, okay. Okay, let's stick to our 20 minutes.
Let's stick to that-ish. So I think there are 4 areas to consider and they kind of sort of feed into each other. So the first is self-awareness, and that's the exploring the coachees' thinking around confidence. And I've already mentioned this, but also their strengths, their weaknesses, their personality. Because I mean, we've talked about personality before, and I had a client that was always saying, I'm just not confident. And actually, she was very much of an introvert. So she had a much quieter confidence than someone who's an extrovert. And it's exploring that awareness first off. And then the second part is exploring self-efficacy. So helping clients to feel as though they can find a way that makes sense for them to increase and boost their confidence. What I find, and I think this is really important, is that people are rarely lacking confidence in every area of their life.
Yeah, no, I think that's true.
And you just mentioned situational confidence, and I think that feeds into this. So they will have some experience of being confident in a certain situation. They'll have some resources, they'll have some strengths that they can help themselves with.
Yeah, so in the same way as I was suggesting, you could take people to the limits of their confidence by putting them under more and more pressure. You can find areas of someone's life where they don't feel that pressure, and they will be confident in actions that they take.
Yes.
Yeah, even if it's as simple as brushing their teeth in the morning, they will do that with some confidence, won't they?
I would hope so.
Oh, I don't know. I worry about it sometimes, whether I'm doing it right or not. Anyway, we digress.
So I think it's important to spend some time on that and to find out those areas where they do have more confidence, where they do have skills, and then they can start to feel empowered. They can start to explore transferable skills from those areas of their life, and they can start to tap into that experience of those feelings.
Yeah, of brushing their teeth.
Yes. That's interesting. I'll come on to that in a bit.
Okay.
And I think all of that feeds into my third point, which is developing their mindset around the topic. We talked about growth mindset in a previous episode, haven't we?
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's that idea of not being able to do something yet, isn't it? So going back to the self-efficacy, knowing that you can take the actions necessary in order to get to that place of being able to do something. So definitely that. The word yet is an important one, I think.
Yeah, rather than thinking, that's it.
Mm.
I'm not confident and that's how it's going to be forever. I'm just not a confident person. So that might be beliefs about themselves, but that could also be beliefs about confidence itself, how that's perceived, how that's demonstrated, whether it's acceptable or not. Again, there's some stuff there around societal pressures around confidence, depending on how you've been brought up, the environment that you're in.
Yeah, because actually, I think one definition of confidence is an outward display. It's not actually how you're feeling inside.
Mm.
It's how you present yourself, isn't it? So I think what's the word? Self-esteem is probably a good way to describe how someone would feel that internal sense of, yes, I can do this. But a portrayal of confidence quite often belies how someone's actually feeling inside.
Yeah, that's very true. And then the fourth part is finding or developing the skills and strategies to help them practically work on confidence building. And this is where I will often work with someone with embodiment exercises to help try confidence on for size or practice different ways to embody, to feel, to express confidence in a way that's right for them.
Yeah, I definitely agree that we need to help our coachees explore their beliefs and their thinking around confidence. So what it's like for them, raising their awareness and just discussing it with them.
Yeah, because there's often that perception that, I couldn't be like that person because they become across as arrogant, or I can't have that conversation because I don't like conflict. And I know this is something that you think about a lot, because someone might see having a difficult conversation as conflict, whereas you might see it as confidently having a difficult conversation. And all of those play into this.
Yeah, and I guess arrogance, again, that speaks of overconfidence, doesn't it? It's overplaying that projection of confidence.
Yeah.
But to a certain extent, that's just a perception of someone else, isn't it? So I think sometimes people view me as being arrogant Whereas actually I'm just quite confident socially. So I'm quite happy to get involved in conversations. But I've definitely had that said to me in the past. Yeah.
Well,
I was just a really good friend of mine, Maggie. She's known me for a long time, but when she first knew me, I used to the gym that I'm now part of.
Yes.
I'm now going to for the first time in 16 years. When I used to go to that gym, I used to do a combat class or something, and sit and have coffee with a group of women afterwards. And Maggie was one of those, and I'm quite happily chatting away and just being confident. But when I got to know her better, she said, I used to think you were really arrogant. It's just been me.
I've had it too.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, when I did my NLP training and we had to stand up and introduce ourselves, and someone said to me at the end of the course, when you introduced yourself, I thought you were really arrogant, and now I just know you were confident.
Yeah. Well, and actually, when I did my NLP course, they would never have thought that I was very nervous about standing up and speaking in front of people. That's one of the reasons I went to an NLP course, was to overcome that. And I still get that a bit. I still get very butterfly-y, I still have a physiological response to standing up in front of people. My mouth goes dry, which is rubbish when you're trying to talk to people. I don't actually worry about standing up in front of people, but that I've still got that overhang of that physiological fight or flight reaction that stays with me. And it's really unhelpful when you're trying to talk.
So there's something where you felt that you had a lack of confidence in, even though you were perceived as perhaps confident in other areas.
Yes.
And you went and did something to help with your confidence, and you developed skills and strategies so that you can now stand up and speak and appear confident in front of people.
Yeah, and I appear confident. And I guess in some ways I am confident. So we run a conference every year, and I don't worry about it. But I still have those, I don't know, it's just excitement, isn't it? Just, yeah. I still get the butterflies.
And, many people will say the butterflies are good. Performers will say the butterflies are good, won't they? It's when we allow the butterflies to overcome us, which is a very strange metaphor. So I think in looking at where people demonstrate confidence and transferable skills that they have, that encourages that self-efficacy. And I think that that's very much linked to the solution-focused approach to coaching, and that strength-based coaching, where we look at what have you done in the past that you can draw on to help you with this situation. But also to understand the things they're not so good at, perhaps, and acknowledge them. Because I think if you can focus on your strengths and perhaps delegate or get rid of the things that you're not so good at, then that maybe they challenge your confidence, that's going to help as well.
Yeah. Although you could end up never doing something just because you don't particularly feel confident about it.
That's true.
So I think there's a certain degree to which we have to feel the fear and do it anyway. And not. It's that being comfortable with being uncomfortable, isn't it?
Yes.
Just, trying it out, giving it a go. I think I could have easily gone through life not ever doing any public speaking. I could have managed to do that, but there was something about it. I really wanted to be able to do it.
And it's interesting with that, isn't it? Because you would quite happily get up and sing at karaoke.
Yeah. Try and stop me.
Which I will never do.
I haven't done karaoke for ages. I need to find a karaoke. We've been on holiday. We used to find karaoke bars on holiday, but
and I would just listen
few and
to
far
you.
between.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is funny that I'm happy to do that. Although the words are there for me, I don't have to think about what I'm going to sing.
No.
Yeah, I need a teleprompter. That's what I need for my public speaking. When I did a public speaking course, I did like a 2-day course. I kind of let my stuff, and I'm actually quite good at reading and making it sound like I'm just talking. And so I'd got a sort of script that I'd done. I think I was talking about massage therapy.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I'd read a book.
Okay.
It was just what I'd chosen to talk about there. You had to choose something. And the guy said, no, it's very good, but you're a bit like Ben Elton. You don't kind of pause for breath. You just rattle it off, which was surprising, but yeah. Anyway,
There we go. So I was thinking that you're quite happy with karaoke, but were nervous about public speaking. I would never do karaoke, but quite happy with a mic in my hand at the front of the room. So it's interesting, isn't it? But we can pull on those. We can use our strengths. We can do some strength.
funnily enough, when I first met you, I looked you up and found a video of you talking at some networking event and just talking very confidently. You didn't have a script or anything. You just were jabbering away. I thought, how's she doing that?
I'm not sure jabbering is the great description there.
Well, you had your little repartee that you were doing. So that was an example of you exuding confidence in that situation.
Yeah.
That I was able to see. Thinking, oh, she's confident.
I'm glad it didn't put you off.
Yeah. Yeah, it could have done, couldn't it?
Oh, it has done. In the past, it has put people off me. So there we go. I'm glad you're not threatened by my confidence.
Not at all.
So there's something to be aware of here with coaching generally, but I think with confidence coaching, most people want something quick. They want a trick. They want a shortcut. And I don't think there's a magic pill that you can flick a switch. I'm full of metaphors today, aren't I? And someone can turn on the confidence. But we can work with clients over time to find skills, find strategies that they can develop to help bring their version of confidence to the situation where they need it.
So what examples do you have of things that you might work with clients on?
So there might be self-affirmations, there might be embodiment work, there might...
Okay, well, let's explore one of those. So affirmations then. Tell us, yes or no, affirmations.
Yes and no, actually.
Yes and no.
That's the answer.
Yes, but no.
Affirmations can be really useful. And you see it out in the personal development world all the time. Stand in front of the mirror and say, I am confident, or I am whatever you're missing. But they have to align with your beliefs and values so that inside they are true of yourself. So if you try to convince yourself with an affirmation, it can actually have the opposite effect. You can start to feel worse about yourself. Saying, I am confident and able to get my message across in management meetings might be useful, but if you don't truly believe it about yourself, it might not. Research suggests you're better off using self-affirmation about something you know to be true to bolster your confidence, even if, and I think this is really interesting, even if the statement doesn't appear to be linked to that situation. So the affirmation could be about an area that you're confident in, or about a value that you know is highly important to you. So I am present and heard in team meetings because it's important for you to be present and heard, as opposed to I am confident in team meetings, because you might think, well, I'm not confident in team meetings. I can't convince myself I'm confident by saying I am confident. So instead of saying I am confident when you don't feel it, saying I value equal contribution from all parties.
Yes.
So you go into that meeting with that value in your mind, as opposed to trying to convince yourself of something that actually you don't feel you are.
Yeah. So it's that I'm here, life exists.
Yes.
I contribute a verse.
I like that.
I think it, vague recollection. I'm misquoting, but I think it's Dead Poet Society.
Oh,
O me, O life of the questions reoccurring.
okay.
Oh, get very poetic, aren't
You
I?
are. And
sorry about that.
no, that's fine. I was just going to come up with a quote myself, actually. So that leads me nicely into it.
Was that a poetic one?
No. So Amy Cuddy mentions it in her book Presence, which I love this book. It's fabulous. And she says that effective affirmations are about reminding ourselves what matters most to us and by extension, who we are.
Yeah. Okay. And speaking of Amy Cuddy and the whole kind of power posing thing, one of my kind of life hacks for being confident in situations where you might not feel it is not to sit down. Ever.
Yes.
No, but
Did you sit down at the dentist?
Oh
no,
was sitting down at
that's
the
a different
point.
podcast.
Oh yeah. So if I ever go to a meeting and I'm perhaps feeling I probably wouldn't feel unconfident but let's say apprehensive about the meeting. It's an important meeting. I want to make a good impression. I want to be at my best. Okay. When I arrive and the receptionist says, "Oh, he'll be with you or she'll be with you in a moment. Take a seat." I never take a seat. I always remain standing because actually that's an assertive, a good place to be for me. If I sit down, then I'm being submissive. And if someone walks in and walks over to shake my hand, I'm already in a submissive position. And if I'm hunched over looking at my phone, then I'm even more submissive. So you're already on the back foot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a bit of a life hack for everyone. If you're ever attending an important meeting where it matters, just don't sit down before you meet someone. Meet them on an equal level. There you go. Tip for the day.
Thank you. Lots to think about.
There is lots to think about. And think about how we can apply it in the coaching room. What top tips do you have for that?
Good question. I think the coach, as always, really needs to create a safe space to build that trust and rapport, and to have that unconditional positive regard, to absolutely believe their coachee can find their way to develop this inner resource. And I think that that's really important when we start to go into this territory, because if the person you're coaching struggles to believe it of themselves, you almost have to believe it for them for a while and hold that space in that way. And for some people, it's hard to talk about and to discuss. And actually, for some people, it's hard to talk about wanting more confidence, perhaps because of their beliefs around what that looks like and how they might be perceived. And for the coach to understand that confidence is something different to everyone. And I would also say, especially if you're going to do embodiment work, how things feel in the body, trying confidence on for size, don't be afraid to get people out of their seats and to move and to get that awareness into the body. If you're going to do that, go there with them. If you're going to ask someone to stand, even on Zoom, stand with them. I think that's really important. And invite them also to practice embodiment, standing in this way, walking with confidence, that kind of thing, outside of the coaching space, so that when they go into that environment where they need to express confidence, they've already had a bit of a practice and it doesn't feel completely new to them. As I said before, it can take time, but equally, I think you can be surprised just how quickly results can happen when you start to explore this topic.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you, Helen. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on what is a very important topic, I think, in the coaching room. I think it's going to make a big difference to someone if they can build their confidence.
Yeah.
So next time on the podcast, we will be doing something a little bit different. One question we always get asked on every topic that we cover is what books we might recommend, what are the resources we might have for finding out more information. So next time on the podcast, we will be sharing some of our top reads for coaching on all sorts of different topics.
Lovely. I love a good book recommendation.
Maybe we'll get some from our listeners.
Oh, that would be amazing. Share your books with us. Tell us what you're reading. Tell us what you'd recommend.
Yes. And for now, we'd love you to share this podcast with someone you know who might be interested in coaching. So do subscribe, do like us, give us a 5-star review and share the podcast with other people. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for
Brilliant.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.